Hey guys, how's it going? Really excited to show off this level. This is the snow level, the winter level I've been working on for the Archaic region for some time. What it is it's a few paths, and I will use this. This is my screen sizing kind of device here to show how big the screen size actually is. I will use this to actually show you guys around because it's not coming up with my mouse cursor. So what we've got going on here is you start off in this part and you kind of move around to two main paths. And the first path takes you down through some forest. There's a little bit of a rocky area. Then you come to a lake where there's a big boss fight, and I'll explain that in a bit. And you kind of come up through the end, and then you get to the end of the level. The other way's got like you come up through some forest, get to some mountain ranges. This is kind of like a sacred area. I'll explain that in a bit. And you can come around through to this area up here and through a mountain range. What this bridge is for is if you're on either mountain, you can quickly get across more directly than having to walk all the way around. If you want to get from one to the other, you can just quickly come across. So it was for simplification. That's why it's there. So I'm going to take you guys on a really quick tour of the level. So to get into the perspective of how big things really are, we're looking at about approximately this big. So here's where it begins. I did some work on the grass texture too to give it a little bit more detail, a little bit more variance than what it had, mixed up the core texture a bit as well, things like that throughout the level. So you're coming along through the forest and we'll take the bottom path first because I like this one, it's pretty fun and pretty straightforward, but you just kind of follow this path. And once you select this path, you won't have too many paths, you won't have any other paths to select, so you're just kind of on autopilot. But what's really cool is you come up to this lake, and what the frozen lake is, it's going to be a massive boss fight where there are like these giant tentacles coming out of the ground, and they're coming through the ice, and you would have to beat them, you have to attack them. And as you get to the end, there's a giant like squid head or octopus head, and you fight this kind of giant monster of the lake. And once you beat it, you come up here to this cool cabin in this little cabin area. And when you click on the cabin, there's a guy who says, "Oh, I've been stuck inside because the monster's been out there. Thank you for saving me. Here's a really cool item." And it's kind of your reward for beating the boss. Now, you can come to this level over and over again, but each time you come back, maybe you'll just get like a basic item, like a very basic potion or something really insignificant. But if you do it, say, 10 times or 15 times, whatever, you get a really cool item. So for repetition's sake, you get rewarded for grinding through it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to keep coming along. As you come past the frozen lake, there's another really cool area. All of a sudden a blizzard kind of kicks in, and if you're having trouble seeing the ground, you can't really see much. You have to fight a few enemies, but it looks like you're getting a bit lost. And you don't know where everything is because there's not much really to reference yourself to when you're thinking, oh, am I lost? What's going on? And then you find your way back through the blizzard and the blizzard stops. I just thought it'd be kind of a cool area to maybe create some variety in the environment. Now next we'll just kind of come up through the mountain, a little bit of texture work to touch up there, but other than that, pass through to the right here, and we reach the top of the mountain where the level is completed. Now, let's go back and take a look at the other way, because I actually think the other way is really cool as well. I think this part's going to be a lot of fun. Even this too, I think it'll be really neat. So let's go back up the other way. And let's take a look through this. So let's start coming along. We're walking through the level. Killing lots of enemies, getting some experience. Alright. Being really goofy. Alright. And we come up. Notice there's a cool bridge we're passing under. We pass through these kind of structures. They're put here because this is like a sacred area we're entering now. And this mountain we're going to be climbing leads us to a special area where you might not necessarily be able to get into yet. And I'll explain this path next, but first let's go follow this path. And what's going to happen here is we're going to climb this mountain. And once you climb this massive mountain, you'll get to the top here. And if you're qualified, you can pass through, and maybe that's a benchmark for somebody who's played for at least a little while, for maybe, I don't know, however many hours. But they get through this point, and now what they come across is this area here. And what this is kind of like a floating continent. And you cross over this. cross over this walkway, and this is the floating continent. And what happens up here, which is kind of cool, is you walk up and you encounter a boss fight, something like Ruby or Emerald Weapon. This is a significant boss fight where you couldn't get here before because you needed to earn it. And once you earned it, now you have to beat this incredibly difficult boss. So it's really significant. When you beat him, you get a cool item, and then it's not something you regularly do. This will be something that you do very seldomly, but you'll get a cool item when it's available, and it'll only be available at certain points in the game, but this will be kind of like a one-off little region. Really cool area, I think, for a boss fight. So let's kind of just jump our way down the mountain again, and let's come back to, there's an area where I could have branched off to the right here. And what's significant about this is we can take this path, and there's a bridge here. We'll be crossing the bridge, crossing over where we came. We just walked up this way, right? And as we're crossing over, we say, oh, I don't remember this area being there. Well, how do I get to that? I don't know how you could get to that. Kind of a neat little area where somebody might not know. You know, leave a little bit of adventure. And then they come down the path, and they can turn left or right. And we're going to turn left. Now, left would actually be from where you would have came from if you took one of the earlier paths. So this is kind of going backwards a bit. But I think what's kind of cool about it is you come up over here and you say, hey, what's this over in the distance? I see something up over there, but what is that? And you're walking along and you just know that you can't get to it. You're walking along and you still can't see that path, the thing up in the top corner here, because you need to be able to cross the bridge in order to see this. So even if you're taking this normal path, you need to cross the bridge. Maybe the bridge could be something that's kind of cut off till later in the game as well, so it reveals that secret. Anyways, you're coming down this path, and kind of coming down the mountain range. She'll be coming down the mountain when she comes. Anyways, come down the mountain, and we're following down this path, and you're thinking, okay, I saw that really cool little cave, but where was it? It was over by the mountain. It was by the bridge. So we're going to go back up over to this bridge, and you go up to the bridge, and you're thinking, okay, well, there's a path right here, but I can't click it. I can't actually get through this, and this is where it should be because I see the bridge here. Yeah, this is where it should be, but it's not here. I want the player to actually have to search for it, that it's not obvious. It'll be something kind of hidden, and they get rewarded for it. And they come back down, and they're thinking, okay, well, how the heck do I get to it? I can't get to it over there. But wait, oh, there's an opening here. Where does this go? And this leads up, all the way up to that little cave. And you're saying, oh, okay, cool. So now you hop into the cave, and from there, I've got to find I made this kind of cool ice cave. So now the ice cave is just a small little area where we can come up, walk around, some cool stalactites, improvised on the shadows a little bit to make a little bit more detail. Thought that was appropriate. Add some shadows and stuff in there. Add some shadows over these things. Anyways, as you're coming up, you kind of come through this level, you battle some enemies. Kind of a fun little area, a little bit exciting. Come across this bridge through the pit. And you get to this area up here where you come through the door. This leads you to, scroll out, and this leads you to this area over here where you thought, how do I get to that? How do I get to this? Well, it's through that ice cave. And now you come up here, you get a special item. Maybe the item regenerates or a different one comes back from time to time. That encourages you to go back through that area so it's replayable. You're not just going through it once. So you go through there. And then after that, you can kind of come back down through the same path we took, come back up around, and it comes to the end of the level if you just keep following it. It goes through this this kind of mountain range here. I think this actually looks kind of cool. And yeah, and that's it. So I think what's cool about this is there's a couple different paths, and there's reason for the paths. There's secrets hidden in, like up over here there's some secrets. Over here you got a cool boss fight. So there's a variety of things. There's another boss fight down here. So a lot of different areas to explore. So I think it'll be a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm going to start working on some other levels. Actually, continue on with the desert and the forest level that I was working on. So cheers, guys. Talk to you later.